Because I have a busy day today. Today is my husband's birthday, so we are going to be going out for his birthday. But I wanted to hop on here really quickly and just share some news. Okay, so the past weekend, we have lots of birthdays in November. And on Saturday, it was Abigail's 21st birthday. And as most of you saw my post, she did get engaged. So I'm very happy for her. And Alex, my soon to be son-in-law, next spring, I think they're shooting for an April wedding. So that's what it's going to be looking like. Probably just a couple days before our 25th anniversary, actually, they're going to be getting married. So that's exciting. So they've been dating for about a year, over a year, about a year and a half. They both had interest in each other last July 4th. And then he called my husband and they started dating, became boyfriend, girlfriend. He said, I love you, asked my husband to ask to marry her about a month ago, I believe. So she knew it was coming, but it was nice. We went to Chicago and he proposed to her in a little Italian restaurant. So, they were sitting by themselves, and then Debbie, his mom, Debbie, and I were sitting at another table, like in a different part of the room. So we were able to watch everything, and it was really sweet. But anyways, that kind of got me thinking on this subject of preparing your daughters for marriage. And I thought I would just jump on here really quickly. I wrote down something in Kelly's book. That's Kelly's book. I wrote down just a few little tips and things about preparing your daughters for marriage. I figured I'll just do a short live today instead of, the regular hour-long live. And so I'm at my house. The babies and Allie and Lana are inside the house. I'm in the van because it's the quietest place. I'm using my phone, all that good stuff. So, in fact, I hope I'm not on my Wi-Fi. I hope I'm actually on my own data, because that could mess things up. So hopefully my Wi-Fi will stay good this whole time. But yes, everyone's very excited. I agree, Julia. Everyone's very excited about it. So, ways to prepare your daughters for marriage. And I looked up a 1950s guide for preparing daughters for marriage. And honestly, it was funny because the site that I found it on, everyone was just going on and on about this is making me gag. I can't believe this, blah, blah, blah. But I actually thought they were pretty good tips. I didn't really find anything offensive with them. And part of marriage is just making the other person happy, right? So I didn't see why they were such horrible tips and things. But so this is from the 1950s, home economics book about preparing for marriage. It was giving some advice to brides, and number one was have dinner ready when your husband gets home. Now, I will say, I think that definitely does vary for husbands, because some of our husbands, they have kind of unpredictable schedules, and it's really all about doing what your husband wants, right? So if your husband wants dinner ready when he gets home, by all means, have dinner ready. But some husbands, they might want to take you out to eat. Some husbands might not care. I mean, it just depends on what your husband wants, actually. So, that was an okay tip, I thought, have dinner ready. Prepare yourself. And it's funny because all of these things are literally things I've pretty much been doing since we got married. Prepare yourself. And it was just talking about take 15 minutes and, do your hair, don't be grungy from all day. And I don't think that's terrible advice either. I pretty much do that on a regular basis anyways. I get ready every day. I do my makeup every day. I do my hair every day. I dress in something, that's not sweats or PJs. The only time that I'm not ready is if I'm sick. I've been throwing up. I have a fever, whatever. That just works for us. So I don't think that was terrible advice. Just, prepare yourself before your husband gets home. And my phone is falling. I'm going to have to hold it this whole time. This is not a good setup. Clear away clutter. And this I thought was pretty good advice too, because I already pretty much do this. Just go through the house, pick up the clutter, just make the house presentable. No husband likes, at least my husband doesn't like, walking into a house that's just, chaos. Like the kids are screaming and out of control. The house is trashed. And, There's stuff everywhere. So this is just always something that I've done. Minimize the noise, and it specifically talked about kids, just calming the kids down. I don't think that's terrible. Don't greet him with complaints. Honestly, after you've been on an outing or grocery shopping or something, do you want to come into your house and then your husband is just like bombarding you with complaints? I don't think anyone wants that. So I think that's just common sense and being nice, putting his needs before your own, and then make him comfortable. Now, the tip was to like let him sit down, let him put up his feet. And we all know the like 1950s model of like a woman bringing her husband his slippers, bringing her husband his slippers, putting the slippers on, getting him his pipe, getting him the newspaper, whatever. And that's kind of been made fun of, but I don't think we have to go to those great lengths. Like, I don't greet my husband at the door holding he doesn't even have slippers, but like holding his slippers. He doesn't have a pipe either. But, I don't greet him. And does anyone even read newspapers anymore? I don't know. But I don't greet him at the door with all this stuff. But I think just part of making him comfortable is, having the house picked up, making sure the kids aren't freaking out, screaming, stuff like that. So, and then listen to him. And I think that's good advice. I think every husband will like that. But so anyways, that's from the 1950s. And so those tips, that's preparing girls for marriage, basically telling them how they should treat their husband when he comes home. Those aren't bad necessarily, but I want to dive deeper into what we're doing to prepare our daughters specifically for marriage. And just I don't agree with this philosophy that you need to it doesn't matter if the girls learn at school. It doesn't matter if they know math. It doesn't matter if they know anything, because they can just get married and totally depend on their husband. Like, that's not how I'm raising my girls, because and once again, it's life experiences. When I was 17, my mom lost my dad. So if she wouldn't have been capable, if she wouldn't have known how to run a budget, how to run a home, how to pay bills, how to, look into like getting his life insurance and doing all this stuff, if she wouldn't have known that, then we would have been in a bad spot, right? But because she was capable, she was smart, she was frugal, she knew how to manage money, we were okay after my dad died. And because he had put in steps in place for her, he had life insurance, which I'm a big proponent of. He had life insurance for her. He made sure she was taken care of even after he died. So I'm not all about this, like, it doesn't matter if your girls have any knowledge, or it doesn't matter if your girls know how to function, or they know how to do a budget. Like, I'm all for making sure that your girls are smart and capable. And there's more to marriage than just submitting to your husband. Okay, yes, I'm for biblical submission, I'm for biblical roles, but there's way more to marriage than just that. And I think girls need to be smart and capable when they get married. So, and exactly, if we're raising girls that are going to homeschool, then they need to have some brains. They need to know how to teach their kids math. They need to know how to teach their kids how to read. They need to know how to teach their kids all these things. So, one of the things that I'm trying to get across to my girls is the whole like money management thing. Budgeting, money management. They need to know how to do bills, pay bills. They need to know how to manage their money well. And, the first day that they get paid, they're not going and blowing it all because they have bills throughout the month. So both of my older girls, and this goes for my older girls, obviously, I'm not like this with the 15-year-old, but both of my oldest girls work at a daycare. So they're both teachers at a daycare. Abigail has her CDA, her Childhood Development Associates, and she's a teacher, an official teacher there. Chloe is on staff. She's working towards her CDA. That daycare wants all of their teachers to at least have a teaching, associate's degree. So they're both working. Abby has hers. Chloe's working towards it. As such, they are bringing in income. So we do teach our children how to tithe 10% of whatever they make. We think that that is the biblical way. That's, God is going to bless them for that. And so they do learn from an early age, 10% whatever I make goes to God. So we teach them that. And then we also, teach them how to budget their money. Usually my husband, this is kind of his area. He'll sit down with the girls and he'll show them, like, this is your monthly income. These are your bills. Okay. So you have car insurance and you have, your car payment, because they both have car payments now. So you have your car insurance, you have your car payment, your phone bill, and that's pretty much the extent for them right now because they're living at home still. So he'll show them, you have to, even though you don't have like these bills until the third week, you can't blow your paycheck from the second week or the first week because you have these bills coming up, So, so he sits down with them, he shows them how to do a budget, and he teaches them, like, you can't just blow your paycheck all the time. Yes, you can have some money for fun things, but you can't be blowing it as soon as it comes in. So we also teach them homemaking responsibilities. All of my girls, I would stack them up against any married woman right now for knowing how to run the home, knowing how to cook meals, knowing how to clean and keep the place clear of clutter and, home managing skills. I would stack any of my girls up against anyone that's married, because from the time that they're little, they've been right alongside of me doing all this stuff. So, and any of the church ladies know that my girls, I'm working on Allie. She's really stepped it up though. In the last couple of weeks, I literally had to have a talk with her, and I had to be like, listen, you're my only one here right now. So you're helping me out right now. Because her motto is literally like, chill and be happy. That's Allie's motto. That's totally fine. But at times in our life, we need to step up and we need to accept some responsibility. And I explained that to her. I said, the bums in Hawaii love to chill and be happy. That's what they love to do. But we can't just chill and be happy all the time. You're almost 16 years old. You're getting ready to, get a driver's license in a little bit. She just finished driver's ed. She's learning how to drive. In April, she'll be getting her license. So I said, with that comes responsibility. So you can't just chill and be happy your entire life. You have to step up and do some things. So with all my girls, I've taught them how to run the home. I've taught them how to take care of little kids. I've taught them, homemaking responsibilities. Also, another thing is self-reliance. Self-reliance with all my girls. I'm very, like I said at the beginning, I'm very much about just teaching them how to be a powerful woman. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. Not really. I don't, like I said, there's more to marriage. I'm sorry. This is a live on my phone. So yeah, I don't think you can rewind this live. You'll have to go back, and after it like processes, you'll have to go back if you missed any. So I'm doing a little bit differently today. So sorry about that. But there's more to life than being a wallflower. There's more to life than being just submissive to your husband when it comes to marriage. I don't think, at least my husband's like this, I don't think most men want to marry someone who's pretty and attractive, but has nothing up here, who is just empty in the head, right? I don't think any man wants that. A man wants to leave his home and know that it's in good hands. It's in capable hands. It's in the hands of a wife who's going to know what to do if an emergency arises and just not panic and freak out. Someone who's going to know what to do if the oven catches on fire, or if, someone comes knocking at her door, or if someone calls, it's smart, capable woman. And when it comes to my husband and I, he likes that I have skills. He likes that I have brains. He likes that I have, other things that I do, like teach piano, and I want all of my girls to have skills going into marriage. Abigail is very, very accomplished musically. And I do think with that, along with having her CDA, will help her after marriage if she ever wants to have like side income coming in, if she ever just wants to do something with a hobby, a hobby that brings in income, she'll be able to do that. Chloe is she's very good at like crafts and arts and different things like that, but she's also really good with kids. And then she's picking up her CDA as well. And so all of my girls have unique gifts, and we've pushed them to be good in areas. We've pushed them to be good in school. We've pushed them to have things that they accomplish, such as whether it comes to health or whether it comes to hobbies like music. All of our girls are involved in music in some aspect. So, we we push them. We're not just like, well, you're a girl, you're just in limbo, you just learn to, we'll do fractions when you cook, we'll do fractions when you cook, that'll be your math for the day, right? You just know how to cook and you know how to be pretty, and that's all you need. No, not for my girls. My girls need more than just being pretty, and they all are beautiful, but just being pretty and just being a wallflower. My girls need to know how to be capable. They need to be smart. They need to know how to handle life's challenges that it throws at them, because they're all going to be in different, I know Abigail's getting ready to marry someone who wants to go into ministry. So that being said, she's well equipped because, first of all, she was raised in ministry. That's all she knows. But she also knows how to handle life's challenges, and she knows how to interact with people. And that's another thing. Socially, we teach our girls to interact with people. We teach them how to carry on conversations with people, how to interact with people of all ages, whether that's the elderly or the younger, how to take care of babies. That's something that we really hammer home with our girls. So, and we also teach our girls to be self-reliant. We teach them to figure out difficult things. From the time that they're little, this is a way that I like, push my girls. I have them, from the time that they're little, I have them pay for their own stuff at I don't know, whether it's gas station, sometimes a fast food restaurant. I have Hannah order her own things. Hannah just turned 5. So when we're at Culver's and she wants ice cream, I give her her little free scoop thing, and then she goes up to the counter and she tells them exactly what she wants. And with some of my girls, it's been not an issue. But then other of my girls, like Abigail, actually, she was very much my most introverted, my most reclusive, the one I had to push the most, very quiet. And so with her, from the time she was little, we pushed her to do hard things. We pushed her to be in piano recitals. We pushed her to perform in front of people. When it came to her music, we pushed her to step out of her comfort zone and go talk to new kids that would visit the church. We pushed her to pay for her own things and, go up to the cashier by herself. And she hated it at the time. She did. But she'll say now that it's because of my dad and her dad and me. It's because of her dad and me that she's not a recluse. She'll say, you guys made me do this stuff. And I'm so glad now, because she's able to get up there and perform, play for offertory, play for congregationals, sing, and she doesn't die on the spot of nervousness, right? So we teach our girls to be self-reliant. We teach them and be capable of handling hard things. Even when it comes to health, we teach them and try to get them to be healthy, whether that comes to like exercising, being aware of what they're eating, because that's all going to play a direct part in my grandchildren being healthy, right? So like my grandchildren being healthy, my future grandchildren being healthy, them being healthy, I want them to live a really long life. So I teach them about health, different things like that. So this is not a good setup. It is literally falling. I'm trying, guys. Okay, and so then with communication, we also teach our girls how to communicate with people, how to talk to people, like I said, but we also teach them like conflict resolution. I talk to my girls. We're big in our family. Like I talk to my girls constantly. They probably get sick of it, but oh well. I take the verse quite literally that talks about teach them from the time they rise up to till the sun goes down, or whatever those verses are in Deuteronomy or one of those chapters, the Old Testament. I do believe we need to be talking to our kids loud and clear about what we want for them, what we want them to do. And so the way that I teach the best ways of communication with my girls is I model that. I model and teach clear communication when it comes to conflict management, because we're all going to have conflict in our life. So I try to teach them how to work through conflict, whether that's with other family members, whether that's with their boyfriend or girlfriend at the time, whatever. They need to learn how to communicate, because I feel like the biggest problem in most marriages is this area of communication. Husbands are not telling their wives what they expect. Wives are not telling their husbands what they expect. And they're just expecting of each other to just kind of magically guess what's going on in their mind. And it's actually a huge issue with marriages. It's this issue of communication. It's the number one destroyer of marriages, I do believe. And this breakdown of communication does lead into other areas of sin, such as adultery and, hidden sins like maybe drugs, pornography, different things like that. It's all a direct result of this breakdown of communication. So an open line of communication is best when you model it to your kids with how you are with your own husband. Open dialogue. And then number one, just, modeling a healthy marriage to your kids. Your kids need to see you and your husband working through conflict. Your kids need to see what that conflict management and conflict resolution looks like. They need to see it from you and your spouse. They need to see that. Number one, the biggest thing I believe is this communication and working through this conflict. If your kids never see you argue, never see you fight. Now, I will say it like I've said, my son has talked before about how he can barely ever remember us fighting. And we do have little arguments here and there, little spats, but they've never seen like knock down, I don't know what that phrase is. Knock out, drag down, knockout fights, whatever that phrase is. They've never really seen that in our home. They have not seen their dad and I go days and days without talking because I don't believe in the silent treatment. They don't, I believe, as a kid growing up, one of the weapons used, I guess, controlling thing was this passive aggressive silent treatment stuff. And I hated it. So I don't do passive aggressive and I don't do silent treatment. I do aggressive is what my husband calls it. aggressive. If there's a problem, I want to deal with it. I want to talk about it. I want to deal with it and I want to move on. I don't like going days. Who likes going days angry? It's not a fun way to live. And so my kids have never seen like fights that drag on for days or whatever. And if we have a deeper issue or something that needs to be talked about with my husband and I, we do it behind closed doors. Now, obviously our kids are going to see little arguments, little spats. We don't agree on everything, even when it comes to like, where do you want to eat? Well, what time do you want to leave? How do we want to do this? Whatever. So they'll see little things like that, but they need to see you and your husband work through it. And they never need to hear the D word thrown out there, divorce. They need to know that you're united, that you're together forever, that you're going to work through everything. And that's the number one thing to really just model a good relationship to your kids, modeling a healthy marriage to them. Demonstrate affection with your spouse in front of your kids so they can, you are literally the first teacher. Your marriage is going to be the first teacher in your kids' lives with how to have a healthy, balanced marriage. And if your marriage is on the rocks, first of all, they're going to have a very skewed view of marriage. They're probably not going to want that. But if they see, I remember one time my husband and I were walking on a treadmill at the gym, and Abigail at that time was like coming to work out with us, and she saw us walking on the treadmills, and we were just like walking and talking the whole time. And she snapped a quick picture of us and she sent it to me, and she just put #goals. And for me, that was so special because I knew in that moment that we were advertising to her. We were showing her the type of relationship she wanted. And I don't even think she was dating anyone at the time, but we were showing her the type of relationship that she wanted. And who better to show that than her parents, right? And so because my husband and I have had a healthy relationship most of our marriage, we have been able to demonstrate that to our kids. And our kids have all had a very, very good idea of marriage, and they've all wanted that. Like they want to get married because to them marriage is good. Like, look at mom and dad, they have a good marriage. That's what I want a healthy relationship. And so all of my kids, in all of them, all the older three, that's been that's been a goal. I want to get married, and I'm seeing a lot of kids raised in very like tumultuous homes or like very chaotic homes or with parents who had a horrible marriage. I'm seeing a lot of them raised and they have this mindset that I am never getting married. If that's marriage, I want nothing to do with it. And I feel like that's really, really sad because we should be modeling a good marriage to our kids and making them want that, right? Yeah, silent treatment is not good. I just don't like it because when you give the silent treatment to whoever you're giving it to, okay, so your spouse, a friend, your kids, you're basically ignoring the fact that they exist. and you're pretending like they don't exist. And to me, I feel like that's the biggest slap in the face you can do to someone, is just kind of pretend like they're not there. And I don't know, you're ignoring their very existence, and I just hate it. I think it's one of the most toxic forms of communication, and maybe that's because I know how it made me feel. Anytime that I would get the silent treatment when there was a disagreement, or, I had done something that wasn't right. And so in return, I got the silent treatment for a couple days, and it was awful. It's like walking on eggshells. It was like that person was just trying to pretend you didn't exist. And I don't like it. So yeah. I think the biggest step is, number one, just acknowledging you do it. And that way you can work on it, right? You're like, okay, I'm slipping back into this habit. I'm doing the silent treatment thing again. Okay, what can I do to get out of this habit, right? So that's a very special blessing, Marta. She said, I'm so blessed. My parents and my grandparents made me want to marry one day. So, yep, that's good. When you have family members that make you want that, that's a really good thing. And then show a united front when it comes to your kids. My kids all know, they all know, like, dad's the final say in everything, right? So if they come to me, oftentimes I'll be like, well, let's see what your dad says. What dad says goes. So they know that we are very united on that. He tries to honor my wishes for things. I try to honor his wishes. And then prioritize your marriage. My kids know that at least one day a week we're going on a date. Like today, it's my husband's birthday. I'm ready to go as soon as he's done with his live stream. He's doing a live stream right now, actually. As soon as he's done, we're going to go somewhere for his birthday. So they know we make, time for each other. So at least one day a week we go on a date. When they were younger, obviously it was a lot less. But now that they're older and they can see things, now they see that we prioritize each other, and we go out on dates, and we do special things with each other. So and then exhibit commitment first and foremost for your kids. Teach them marriage is for life. So teach them that it doesn't matter what happens. Like, you're never going to hear us say the D word. We're not going to talk about separating. We're going to work through whatever problems we have. And my kids know going into marriage that those vows are serious, and that they are until death do us part. And so they better take it very, very seriously. And they better know that, this is for life. So, and we've tried to teach that. So then what about spiritually? How do we prepare our daughters spiritually for marriage? Like, how do we teach them? So I know with my girls, it's very important to me that they are good Christians. And this is like the whole package, right? Being a good Christian. It's more than just saying the words, it's living the words. Okay, so it's important for me that my girls are kind. It's important for me that my girls know how to interact with other people. It's important to me that my girls love the Lord. It's important to me that they desire a relationship with the Lord, because being saved and being a disciple are two different things. So, people can get saved and then they can kind of just stay stagnant for the rest of their, life here on earth. Well, I don't want that for my girls. I want them to desire a deep relationship with the Lord. So we have done things, encourage them to read their Bibles, encourage them to spend time alone with God every day, encourage them to pray. And then, of course, the biggest thing is leading by example, having them see you read your Bible. We have sent them to youth conferences and camps and things where that is highly encouraged. We've encouraged good friendships where their friends are going to encourage them to do right, not wrong. So we have put all these spiritual things into places, special meetings, special conferences, where they hear other people reinforce what we're teaching in the home. So we're on the same page, like when it comes to loving the Lord, serving the Lord, honoring the Lord, living for the Lord. We're on the same page as these other preachers. So we go to conferences and youth activities and, youth conferences and camps and all these things. And one of the biggest ways I saw Chloe grow was when she started helping out at the summer camp. It taught her how to be a servant. It taught her how to flourish even when things were tough. It taught her how to be very reliant and take charge and be a leader. And so we put all of these different type of scenarios in our girls' lives, not just our boys, but our girls too, so that it will encourage them to be a better Christian and to, know how to establish friendships and know how to talk to people and all these, other things. So, we show them and we teach them how to be a good church member, because that's going to come into it as well. Like when Abigail marries Alex, they will be living in Clinton, Illinois, and going to a totally different church than ours. So she's no longer going to be in her dad's church, and she's going to need to know how to be a good church member at that church. And I want my kids to go somewhere, wherever they go to church, and I want their pastor to be very happy with them as members. I don't want them to be troublemakers. I want them to be involved and helping out and supporting their pastor and all these things. So, we model the best way to be a good church member to them. Get involved, serve in your local church, be involved in the ministries. Don't do it as a way to get things out of people, but do it to show your kids this is all for the Lord. People can be a very poor investment at times, and you don't invest into people for the outcome. You invest into people because you're doing it for the Lord. And that's what we've tried to teach our kids when it comes to ministry. Okay. I reconnected. I think my Wi-Fi gave out, so hopefully that buffer's okay and it comes back on. But I'm now on my data. I had to switch it really quickly. So I switched it to my data. But yeah, show them how to be a good friend when it comes to, hopefully their husband will be their best friend. And, they need to know how to be a good friend. They need to know how to forgive. They need to know how to move past things. They need to know how to love during the difficult times. And, one thing that I've tried to tell my girls too, marriage has seasons. Marriage has all sorts of seasons. And sometimes, and I'm not talking about like abusive situations, okay? If someone's in an abusive situations, I think they need to seek help from a pastor or a trusted friend, whatever. But I'm talking about marriage has seasons where, you're going to go through dry spells, like if postpartum, nursing, pregnancy, different things like that, where maybe communication isn't as good because you're just trying to survive, right? You have tons of little kids. So there's going to be different seasons, and during those times, you just got to hang on. You got to hang on and you got to make it through. So I do think my girls understand that, there's going to be dry times during different seasons of life, but it doesn't matter, because as long as you hold on and hang on, it gets better, right? It always gets better. And I would say after almost 25 years of marriage that our marriage is the best it's ever been. And it's the most comfortable as far as like we know each other so well. And, obviously we've worked through like red button issues, hot topics, and we're on the same page across the board when it comes to anything. And now, because we've raised our kids the way that we have, we're reaping the benefits and the blessings of raising our kids the right way. And it's hard, mamas. It takes a lot of work, especially when they're young. But believe me, if you are in it for the long haul, you will reap the blessings. You're just going to reap all these things as they get older, and they're only going to bring you happiness. So far, my adult kids have only brought me happiness when it comes to all the decisions they're making, when it comes to how their lives are being lived, and it's only brought me happiness. So it will work if you stick with it. And then just lastly, just a few things I really make sure that my girls know before going into this huge, marriage thing. I teach them how to take care of kids. They know how to run a household. They know how to take care of kids, because they're going to be the primary one that's taking care of kids. So they all know how to change diapers. Now, this is going to be a little bit harder when it comes to Hannah and Kelly, because they don't have any younger siblings. So as they get older, what I'll probably do is I'll probably just have them help out with babies at church, if the moms are okay with that, which most of our moms there would be okay with that. I'm going to have to probably just have them, help watch the kids at church, help out with the kids at church, that sort of thing. So, it's going to be obviously a little different. It's going to look a little different with my babies versus my older kids, but we'll make it work. I'll figure it out. They need to know how to take care of kids. Also teach them to do hard things. This is not only for boys. This is for girls too. I don't want just my boys to be smart and self-reliant and hard workers. I want my girls to be smart and self-reliant and hard workers. I want my girls to know how to figure out hard things. I want my girls to know how to do the hard things. I want my girls to be hardworking and not lazy. And there is so much, like, raising kids is literally the hardest thing I've ever done. It's not for those that are lazy. I mean, lazy parents do it all the time, but the outcome is usually not the greatest. So raising good kids takes a lot of work. It's a very, very difficult. It's very hard, and you can't slack off when it comes to it. So I want that character to be in my daughters. You know, when they get married, they need to have that character. And then also, lastly, teach them to be capable and smart. I do not go for this whole, like, you know, just pretty bimbo type thing. You know, I want my girls to know good hygiene and how to do their hair and like how to look nice. Yes, I think that's important as part of being ladylike, but I don't think that's not where it lies. Like, if my face was to be marred tomorrow by a pit bull or something, I know I'm fully confident in the fact that my husband would still be madly in love with me, because it's not just the looks. It's my personality. It's, you know, just everything that I do around the house, and, you know, I run the whole house, and he would be lost without me. So, I am also the eldest daughter. So, but kudos to my mom. She taught me, my mom set me up for success. My mom really did. And she gave me, she is the reason I am the way I am for the most part, because she was very good at making sure that we had skills. You know, she had me in music lessons from the time that I was 7, and it was multiple things. It wasn't just piano. She had me take piano. She had me take voice. She had me take flute. She encouraged, she put me in art classes. She let me play sports, you know, so all these things that kind of build character, my mom had me involved in. And because of my music, I am now able to garnish a small side thing, you know, that pays for a lot of extra things that come up, that pop up. And also I'm able to invest in the next generation of pianists, which I absolutely love. And that's largely due to my mom. You know, obviously I had to put the practice in and blah, 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 but she took me to my piano lessons and my music lessons. She took me to all the sports things. She's the one who made that happen. So as moms, I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer in, you know, just raising smart, capable daughters who are ready to be a very good helpmeet for their husband, because we do believe here that we're our husband's helpmeets, right? And so as such, we need to have skills, and we need to have gifts, and we need to be smart and capable and strong and powerful. But also within that power, knowing that our husband has the final say in anything, and using these gifts to help him, right? To help lift him up, to help his life be better. And I would never want to do something that would make my husband's life more difficult. So, and I think that's probably the desire of everyone who watches my channel. But a little bit shorter one today, but my arm is getting tired of holding this up. So I am going to go ahead and end this right now. But I am in the process of having my friend Rachel, who owns a little Etsy shop, I am having her design a shirt, a Gently Led Sister shirt. This Heather Major gave me the idea on a post last week. And basically it's just going to be a t-shirt and different, we're going to figure out what colors to do or whatever. I'm just going to order t-shirts from Amazon, and then we're going to put either like a smaller logo. You tell me how you'd want this. Okay. So we'd like either a smaller logo in the corner or across the chest, and probably not the back, but it's just going to say, love God, love your husband, love your kids. And then it's going to have Gently Led Sisters under it. So that's kind of my motto for this show. And do you think it would be better if it was love God, love your spouse, love your kids, or love God, love your husband, love your kids, and then Gently Led Sisters, or we could do GLS? So leave a comment down below. Tell me which option you would prefer and what option would be better. And we're going to try to get those up in the shop, and then you can directly order from that. And this would make a great Christmas present, you know. Tell your husbands, like, whisper in their ear. This would make a good Christmas present. This would, you know, it'd be a good gift. So we're going to try to keep them reasonably cheap, pretty much just paying for the shirts, I think I can get the shirts for about $7, the t-shirts off Amazon, and then she's gonna have to put the decal on, and then of course shipping. So we're gonna try to keep it reasonably priced, but I thought that would be a good idea. Let me know what option you would like or prefer below, and then that'll kind of give me an idea moving forward, where she's trying to design it right now. So we're gonna try to have that up and running by December, probably, I'm hoping. So anyways, I hope you all have a great week. And like my motto, go home, love God, love your husband, and love your kids, and love them well. And we will see you guys next week.